Hi everyone, this is Marie Blue Angel, and today I am playing something that I've been meaning to play since forever. I feel like I say that for everything. But this one I've been aware about Imperial Grace for I think a couple years now. And basically I saw the Kickstarter campaign for it, I think in 2023. I backed it because I was intrigued based on the page alone. I did even play the demo. And this is still the demo. I think it should actually I will wait. I don't know when the full game is about to release, but I do want to check out the demo in anticipation for that because I believe this demo was updated in the past year in the second half of 2025. So let's just get into it and see what happens. Make sure you take the time to read the the screen, but this game is intended for a mature audience if you didn't know that already. I've looked at some of the trigger warnings, and I technically have already gone through this because I wanted to do normal mode. I wanted to check the sound before we got into the game. There's a really nice feature for customizing our main character. For now, I'll leave the name as Lydia. And we get to be blessed by different deities. Either Basan, who is a fighting deity, from what I understand. If you are blessed by Basan, you have loved fighting since you were a child. Though you are not allowed on the battlefield, you are in excellent physical shape, and your swordsmanship rivals that of a man. Starting bonus and army is this little gray helmet thing. If you are blessed by Amatera, when you were younger, you almost became a scholar. Your love of reading and learning has given you knowledge in many fields, including astronomy, theology, and botany. Starting bonus in religion. Okay. Blessed by Horel. You have mastered the art of diplomacy and eloquence. You can improvise inspiring speeches in an instant, and you know the first names of every noble over 3 generations. That's hella smart and charming. Okay, starting bonus in influence, if we pick that one. Blessed by Myriad. Numbers and resources management hold no secrets for you, and you have excellent relations with merchants, are good at mental arithmetic, and know all the subtleties of tithes and other taxes, not only from Calidya, which I assume is the place that we rule over, but also from your neighbors. Since this is a demo, I think it, I mean, doesn't matter. I don't actually know how long the demo goes for, but I am either interested in being blessed by Amatera or Horel. I guess in a more traditional sense, in the sense of like you are a ruler, I do think it'd be good to be have a lot of influence. So I'm gonna go with that, and we're gonna see. Oh, I guess I can actually. Oh, we can change our skin tone. I think I'm just gonna leave the character as they are now, but good to know there are a whole bunch of different things we could do. The hair type cannot be modified during the game and will be taken into account during illustrations. Sure, we can have wavy hair. Whoa, all these different types of hair. Whoa. Okay, hold on. Then what does straight hair have? Okay, I'm just picking one for funsies, and we're gonna leave it here because I don't want to get too into customization when I really am interested in the game. But I do like, oh, that we can, let's just be formal. I do like that. Oh, that's so. I do like that we get all these options. Okay, that works for me. There's so many different choices that I'll leave it to the future to decide. But there's a night, casual, formal, and fight attire to get into. Oh, but I guess this is here we are. Sorry, I went through that pretty quickly because I wanted to get to the story. But let's see. This game is also available in French. Actually, when I loaded in, it was already in French, and I had to go into the settings to change it into English. Um, I can read in French, though I think it'd be abysmal for me to read the whole thing in French. I have tried to do that once before, um, and it is good for my practice, but maybe not for you, who is a viewer and maybe expecting to hear things in English. Anyways, let's just get started. Your Grace, Your Grace. A panicked voice resonated in my dream like an echo. A few moments before I understood that it came from somewhere else and woke up with a jolt, disoriented. The palpable feeling of urgency had immediately brought me to my senses, but it still took me a few seconds to recognize the advisor's voice as well as the room I was in. Hmm. I wonder where the music is. I thought I. Ah! I muted the game on accident because I was checking my sound recording. It's okay. We didn't miss much in the customization. I didn't hear any music. But now the music should have started. I was a little concerned. I forgot to turn that back on. Anyways, okay, we're woken up by our advisor. We are Lydia de Turenfell. Elden, what's going on? Alden de Valbleu, very French. Your Highness, I bring terrible news. Your father. Your father was assassinated last night. Our father? I was ready to hear just about anything. Managing crises was an important part of royalty after all, and yet I was completely stunned by the news. My father was dead at the hands of an assassin, just a few rooms away from me. All the implications from this revelation bounced through my head, drenched in doubt and fear concerning my own security and the future of the realm of Calidya. Who's Alexander? I beg your pardon, Your Highness. I was too late. Okay, zoom up. Okay. Pulling myself out of my lethargy, I looked down on Alexander, who knelt next to the bed, his head bent low as if the weight of his shame stopped him from getting up. Whatever went down, I knew he had nothing to be ashamed of. When I was just a child, I already admired his talents, and they grew steadfast with age and the position of general. Okay, he's the General Alexander. His presence here was a relief. I didn't know the assassin's full intentions, but even if they were after me, as long as I had Alexander by my side, I didn't have anything to worry about. Don't put yourself down like this. You aren't responsible for what happened. We'll bring the regicide to justice. Was Alexander the general or our father's bodyguard? I mean, still not his fault, but you know. I'm just curious in terms of context. Still mortified, Alexander stayed on his knees. I could see his fingers twitch a little, proof he wasn't completely convinced, but he nodded his approval all the same, transported by the firmness of my voice. As for me, now that I had said it out loud, I felt that the information had settled in my mind, and I finally accepted it as truth and a full understanding of the situation. My father, Magnus V, Emperor of Calidya, was dead. Many would have broken down after hearing such news, but for years now I hadn't held an ounce of affection for him. His death was actually good news to me. It marked the beginning of a new era, a better one, I hoped. An era for which I'd prepared an era for which I'd been preparing ever since I realized that this was my destiny. I was to succeed him. I was to become the Empress. But it wasn't yet time for celebration. Although I was the legitimate heir to the throne, I had plenty of detractors, and I still needed to figure out why the assassin had taken place. I had many questions about the killer's identity and motivations. Did the assassin get away? I mean, I'm assuming so. We didn't. We'll see. We'll see. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was lost in thought, and it took me a while to realize that Alden and Alexander were staring at me, worried, surely awaiting a reaction or a declaration from me. Both had known me since my early childhood. They knew the enmity I felt for the Emperor, and I trusted them enough to set all pretenses aside. But it was perhaps a bit inappropriate to rejoice over my future title while my father's dead corpse was still warm. After taking a deep breath, I threw off my covers and got up, eyeing them. Oh, look at the outfits. After doing this, we get to choose. Do I exalt? I mean, maybe we shouldn't exalt, even though, in theory, if we're close enough, but we should stay neutral, I think. Gloating seemed a tad indecent, but I could at least spare myself the pretense of being the grieving orphan that I would surely need to be in front of the court. What I feel isn't important. You don't have to worry about me. What matters most is our nation, and we all know that the sudden death of an emperor is a delicate situation. Okay, get your scrolls out. At the moment, the most important thing is to preserve the kingdom's stability. I'm counting on you to protect and serve me. This won't be an easy task, but I'm sure we can accomplish great things. This time, Alexander got up, putting his hand on his sheath in a dignified and military posture. They're both gonna sound the same, I'm so sorry. At your service, Highness. May the four witness my oath. I solemnly swear that I will protect you until my dying breath. Emphatic, he bowed down before, lifting his eyes up to mine. I smiled and accepted his allegiance with a certain poise, despite my unkempt hair and my nightgown. Marjorie, my tutor, often told me that everything about me showed nobility, that I didn't need any props to act like an empress, or act as empress, rather. That's a difference. Today I understood what she had meant. Alden, however, didn't seem to share the general's fervor. Forgive me, Your Majesty, for tarnishing your enthusiasm, but there is a very delicate question that I have to ask. Have you had your father killed? Oh, I mean, yeah, I can. That's a pretty fair question. His abrupt question threw me off. I mean, fair question from me as a reader. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could also see that from a ruler's perspective. His abrupt question threw me off, and I stared at him, wavering between surprise and indignation. How dare you even suggest such a possibility? You're going too far, advisor. Come on. Don't be offended. You said it yourself. You've hated your father since the death of your brother. How long is that? You've always held him responsible for it. And your father dies on the very day of your return to the palace. Whatever your answer is, I'll accept it. But I need to know. Okay. I felt anger rise within me at these words, and I walked to the window to breathe some fresh air. After I took a few deep inhales, I finally turned around to face him and give him my answer in a firm voice. On the one hand, my presence here isn't a coincidence. The Emperor celebrates, or Rather was about to celebrate his birthday in 2 days. Half of the Empire's noblemen are here. It's undeniable that the event presented the perfect opportunity to strike. The palace is swarming with unknown guards and servants. It's much harder to provide security in these circumstances. Exactly. On the other hand, your suspicions are an insult to my intelligence advisor. After a regicide, the heir is always suspected. If I had really wanted to speed up fate, you better believe I would have been smarter about it. Marjorie taught me the rules of the game. I would never risk losing everything in such a foolish way. I know my ascension to the throne will already be difficult because I'm a woman. I'll state it plainly if it can relieve your doubts, but listen closely, because I will not repeat myself. No, I did not have my father assassinated. Okay. I mean, it is unreliable narrator here. We don't know for sure, but I'm going to choose to believe her. My eyes trained on him, I crossed my arms, almost daring him to contradict me as I kept a lid on my fury. Alden seemed to gauge me for a moment, then nodded in assent and apology. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it is kind of, do you have to ask that? I guess. This is not, it doesn't sting any less, even if you can expect it to be asked, Anyways. Please forgive me, Your Grace. As soon as possible, I'll alert the Master of Murmurs, and will launch an investigation to uncover the truth and bring justice to your father. I like these character sprites, by the way. They're really cool. I would have preferred more vivid regrets, but under the circumstances, this was enough, and I felt my anger slowly fade away. I accept your apology. Let's not speak of this again. There are more urgent things to do. The news will no doubt make quite a commotion. You've asked us to swear allegiance to you. I assume you will try to claim your rightful place as heir, Your Grace. It's my destiny. That's what they said back in the day. Yes, it's my destiny. I heaved a deep sigh and mustered all my determination to answer him without leaving any doubts as to my intentions. I realized a while ago that this was my destiny. Whether I like it or not, I don't really have a choice, and I am not one to do things half-heartedly. I know there aren't many people in the direct line of succession, but if you don't truly want to, I believe one of your bastard brothers would do the trick. I'm sorry, I don't know if I kind of felt that the choice was a bit more committed without really revealing my personal intentions. Because at the end of the day, an heir is an heir. And what do you mean one of her bastard brothers? Like, I would think she's been trained for this from day one. But we don't know how much, I guess, she wants to actually be Empress. But let her rule, is what I say. You know full well that my cousins would covet the position. This would mean the start of a succession war that would drown the kingdom in fire and blood. Even if by some miracle the nobility came out in favor of one of my half-brothers, there's no guarantee that it would all go well. They know nothing of politics. They'd be nothing more than puppets, or even worse, incompetents. By birth, I have a responsibility to the people of this country, and I don't intend to shirk it. In any case, even if I were to retire to my estate to manage it, I would still be a potential threat to their reign. I'll never be safe, even if I were to completely relinquish my right to the throne. There's no doubt about it. I have to be the next Empress. Only time will tell, but I think I am the best possible choice under the circumstances. I don't doubt that, Your Grace. In fact, I'm rather relieved to see you have already thought about it. Like you said, our country needs stability. We can't get away with a weak-willed monarch on the throne. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful empress, Lydia. Are we blushing? We're blushing. His words were barely a whisper, but I was sure of what I had heard, and I felt my cheeks redden a little. He's also blushing. He seemed embarrassed by his own boldness and blushed even more violently than me, while I flashed him a smile to reassure him. It had been years since I had last heard him call me by my name. Even if I had no doubts about my own abilities, it was always refreshing to see the truth, or the trust he gave me. I cleared my throat and regained my composure so I could give my orders. This would be a long night. Who else knows about the assassination for now? Alexander seemed surprised by my question and frowned a bit while searching his mind. When I found the body, I immediately went to warn the advisor, and both of us rushed to see you. The only ones who know about it are the guards who were patrolling with me, and your father's personal maid who was passing by. We knew it would be bad to attract attention, so I had her discreetly sent to the dungeon for interrogation. How about the guards who were stationed before my father's door? Both are dead. I also had their corpses taken to the dungeon for examination. I paced the room, lost deep in thought. You've done well. Now we have to keep it all a secret. It's imperative that no one else hears about it. Says Alden, Jovan, Vable, and Alexandre. Your Grace, this won't be an easy secret to keep. Obviously, we won't be able to do that forever. I only need a few days, so I can stay ahead of my detractors. Alden looked thoughtful for a few moments, then he nodded. I see. So you want to act before everyone else, which should give you the upper hand. Exactly. Very smart. I have no doubt that some people will want to take advantage of the situation. Even if you are the rightful heir, your place will be fought over. But if you don't give them time to react, that could make things a great deal easier. Okay, great. I love that I didn't have to make that choice. Yay. Makes sense. That's what I was thinking, too. I'd love it if the situation was more straightforward, but this is a little white lie, and the alternative is the chaos of a widely disputed succession. Alan nodded, and I continued developing the rest of my plan. In the meantime, pretend that His Majesty is not feeling well, and investigate discreetly. I see. I'll order my men to stay silent. I'll also ensure that they haven't said a word so far. About that, it might be wiser to ensure that they can't talk at all. Low-grade staff is known for gossiping, even the guards. I saw Alexander's face when Alden suggested this. My men are trustworthy. They would never disobey. Would you be willing to bet on that, if it could jeopardize the plans of your new empress, to whom you have only just sworn allegiance? And that maid, can you also guarantee she'll keep quiet? Oh, gripping on the sword. Wait, how do I was gonna say, I can hide the interface. He's gripping on the sword there. His teeth clenched, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword. Alexander shook his head. The weight of Alden's words had also fallen heavy on my shoulders, and I observed both men while contemplating my next steps. This decision is yours to make, Your Grace, but I strongly advise you to silence them for good. Alden was right. The most effective way to ensure someone stayed quiet is to have them killed. However, there could be alternatives to consider. I mean, couldn't we also just keep them in a secluded place? I mean, either the dungeon, which is not great, but like another place where they wouldn't be able to talk to anyone. Um, who knows? Okay, such a decision couldn't be taken lightly, because whatever I decided, I couldn't afford to regret it. I think that would be something that would come and bite us in the ass later, you know? What are we doing? Okay, we get choices and it costs something. If I have them killed, we'll pretend they were collateral damage of the assassin. I'm sorry, Alexander, but we cannot afford to take any risks. I have bonus influence, you see. Ensure their loyalty by promising them a much better position once I'm crowned. Even if they were really tempted to talk about what happened, this should be good enough to motivate them to ensure their alliance or allegiance. And third was money. When you explain to them they mustn't say a word, give them a few coins and promise them once more the secret has been revealed, or more coins rather, when they have been able to tell the truth. The truth is revealed, yes. And in the meantime, send them on a vacation far away from here. That should be enough to guarantee their silence. Even if I had all of these things, I'm not sure. I don't want to kill them, and I don't really want to give them money and send them away on a vacation. I still think they would be able to talk. When I was thinking send them away, they would have to be in a place that's like not around with people. I kind of like this one. Okay, but like what I think also, I'm kind of concerned about the this should be good enough in both of these that it's concerning. But I'm gonna go this. Anyways, I saw Alexander sigh in relief and imperceptibly loosen up. Alden, however, shrugged and bowed to me. That could work, yes. Time will tell. I have faith. Besides, if I'm right, I'll be surrounded by trustworthy people, which is always useful. I had spoken with determination, perfectly hiding my own doubts. Humans are unpredictable in nature. It was a bet, and I could only hope it would pay off. In any case, even if the servants talked and the rumor escaped, I still had my chances. The advantage I was building would be precious to me, but it wasn't the only weapon in my arsenal. Can I count on you, Alexander? He straightened into a military stance and immediately bowed. Of course, Your Grace. I will do my best to convince them. You've made the right decision. Without further ado, he bowed once more and left the room with a heavy step. Alden seemed to be lost in thought for a moment, giving me time to come to my senses before he bowed down in return. I must at least inform the Master of Murmurs of the situation, so that we may launch an investigation. I nodded, aware of our lead spy's discretion as well as his efficiency. Once that is done, I'll come to you to plan the rest of your ascent. Once more I nodded in approval, glad to be offered a little interlude that would allow me to gather my thoughts, and to dress decently while I was at it. After all, even if the coronation hadn't taken place yet, deep within me, I knew it. I felt it. I was the Empress. Okay, I like that. You are the Empress. Chapter 1. Long live the Empress. It's spring on day 8 in the morning. Okay, so are we ready, the Empress? Like, is all the other things that have happened done, or are we enacting our plans now? We shall see. Okay. The sun had now been up for a few hours, promising a beautiful day. But I knew I wouldn't be able to appreciate it. Okay, look at us. Hell yeah. Now that the rush of adrenaline from the news had passed, all I had left were doubts on the days to come, which were going to be exhilarating as much as terrifying. I was gambling my future along with Calidya's, and that was a big deal. I had spent the past few hours readying myself and refining the details of my plan, to appease my latent nervousness as best I could. But that didn't help me shake off my main preoccupation. The servants. I wanted to see the sprite. Ooh. Like Alden had said, I had made a risky decision, and I had been torturing myself for hours, wondering if it was worth it. I was restless when I heard the knock, and leapt to the door, opening it for Alden and letting him in. Or is this just like the next day, like continuation of the night? That actually sounds a lot more plausible. There, Your Grace. We have followed your orders. Master of Murmurs? I hadn't seen that he was occupied by the Master of Murmurs, who came in after him. A slight discomfort washed over me. His role inside the palace was vital, but since I was a child, I had been terrified of his hidden face and the mysterious aura that surrounded him. Nevertheless, my discomfort turned into amazement when I saw him remove his hood as if it were nothing and turn to face me. Handsome. I mean, both Alexander and Alden are also handsome, but hello, Master of Murmurs. My brain had pictured the worst for years. How old are you, Master of Murmurs? And it was very unsettling to finally be able to put a face to that man. I realized he wasn't as monstrous as I had imagined. In fact, I was so shocked that it made me forget the reason for my visitor's presence, which seemed to greatly amuse the Master of Murmurs. There's not a problem. We're just admiring that you are not as monstrous as we believed you to be. Is there a problem, Your Grace? Blushing. Oh. It's just... I didn't know that you could show your face. To be honest, I do what I want, but in principle, I only remove my hood in the presence of my sovereign and their close collaborators. Though I like to entertain the mystery and anonymity that come with the job, it would be far too dangerous for me to never reveal my face. Some people might use that to usurp my identity. That is true. I see. Though it was disconcerting, it was also rather reassuring to see that a man as important as the Master of Murmurs already acknowledged me as his sovereign. Alden cleared his throat over there to recall me to my duty. Okay, thank you, Alden. And I remembered suddenly the reason for the two men's presence, which immediately made my anxiety flare up. To keep myself from staring at the master spy, I faced the advisor and fully focused on him. Did everything go well? My anxiety must have been conspicuous, even if I was doing my best to put on a confident expression. The servants seemed convinced by our offer. They left the palace without complaining, so I suppose we can count that as a win. Despite all that, it's still a bit early to be sure of anything. I gave the Master of Murmurs and Alexander the task of keeping a close eye on the situation. The Master of Murmurs slowly nodded in assent. We'll know more tomorrow, but for the time being, there's nothing more to report. I lifted my eyes to meet my advisors and flashed Alden a reassuring smile. Clearly he read my emotions better than I had thought, and I couldn't allow myself to visibly waver at such a critical time. I know that, and what's done is done. Now we must focus on the future. Bring the High Priest to the council room. I need him to contact the Quadrator. I need him to contact the Quadrator. The Quadrator. I don't know. Maybe I need a Quadrator. Robert is a pious man. Are you sure it's a good idea to confide in him? Everyone likes to think the devout never lie, but one doesn't obtain a place like his without cheating a little. I admit that the idea of lying to him came to me for a fleeting moment, but to fool him would be a complex task, and I'll be needing his support when the time comes. The people put great stock in men of faith. Very well, Your Majesty. Will that be all? Yes, thank you. Okay, we're gonna go get Robert. It's the afternoon. Okay. Hello, Robert. I like the color of your threads there, but the brooch that's so shiny. You summoned me, Your Grace. Yes, thank you for coming, Robert. I gestured for him to sit down while I settled behind my father's imposing desk. Like I had predicted, my behavior made him lift a curious brow, but I pretended not to notice it. I won't beat around the bush. My father, the Emperor, died during the night. Clearly, we had done a pretty good job at keeping that a secret, since the shock on his face seemed genuine. What? But how? And why am I just learning about it now? I need to pray for his soul. I tried to appease him with a wave of my hand, inviting him to sit back down since he looked like he was about to get up. He was murdered. For the time being, we're keeping his death a secret, so we can investigate without causing any sort of panic. It was the Master of Murmur's idea. He's convinced he'll be able to find the assassin more easily this way. Drowning in information, the high priest slumped into his chair and took in my half-truths, while I assumed a saddened expression. It truly is a tragic situation. Keeping quiet and hiding my mourning is a very hard task for me. I know it's a lot to ask of you, but you need to keep this a secret. I want to do everything in my power to uncover the murderer, especially since I'm scared he could come after me. Once more, I was quite proud of the quivers of my voice, and my acting seemed to be effective since I saw a spark of compassion light up in his eyes. I understand now why the general was guarding your door like a common soldier. With a closed expression on my face, I nodded, searching for the right words. The first and main reason I've summoned you here is so that I could confide in you and ask you to pray for my father's departed soul. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll lock myself up in the great temple and dedicate myself to the task. Okay. My face still sad. I gave him a tight, grateful smile, but inside I felt relieved. His prayer should keep him busy enough that he wouldn't be tempted to reveal everything. Now I could move on to the true reason of his presence here. But before that, this saddens me, but I have another favor to ask of you. Of course, Your Grace. What is it? Well, Alden and I are afraid that all the upstarts across the kingdom will rush to the castle and try to usurp the throne as soon as my father's death is made public. In their greed, many forget that my line sits on the throne by the grace of the Four. So I'd like to send a letter to the Quadrator. Right, that's why we're here. Quadrator. And have him support my coronation, as well as affirm my legitimacy. Once more he stayed silent, and I tried to hide my worry behind a veil of sadness. I hated that my plans depended on a single person, but I didn't have a choice. Only rulers and high priests could hope to quickly reach the ultimate leader of the cardinals, and I technically wasn't empress yet. I understand, yes. You're Magnus V's only legitimate child. The throne should be yours. That said, I don't know if the Quadrator will approve of your advent. Perhaps if you were married, your candidacy would seem less inappropriate. Oh, damn, we have to marry. I don't want us to marry. I felt my body tense up at his words, and it took all I had to conceal how irritated I was by this reminder. I knew I would be told such things. I had mentally prepared myself for it, but obviously it wasn't enough. It's an issue, yes, and I'll do my best to find a fitting husband quickly, but you'll agree that I cannot entrust the throne of Calidya to just anyone. I have plenty of suitors, but I need some time to study each and every one of them. That's not something that can be done in just a couple of days or even weeks. In the meantime, we do need someone to lead the country and make sure it doesn't sink into chaos. And if a regent were to be appointed, I'm afraid he might refuse to give the throne back to me and my husband, which would lead the whole country to a bloodbath. No one wants to see another era of murderous plots like during Magnus III's time. The numbers are killing me, it's so funny, but it makes sense. You're right, Your Grace. We cannot let such a tragedy befall us. I'll go write a letter to the Quadrator right away to express support for your coronation and explain your situation / our situation. Satisfied, I let out a sigh of relief. I thank you for your support, High Priest Robert. It means a lot to me. Swiftly, I opened one of the desk drawers and pulled out a thin, sealed letter. While I was waiting for you, I humbly wrote a few words destined for the Quadrator. We've never met, and I hope this would help him get to know me a little. We've never met, and I hope this would help him to get to know me a little, as well as reassure him of my faith in the Four. I was thinking that perhaps you would be so kind as to add it to your own correspondence. Once more he seemed to be caught off guard, but he smiled instantly and enthusiastically. Of course, Your Majesty. It's a great idea. Relieved, I gave him the letter in question while thanking him once more for his support and his help in these unprecedented times. I only hoped he didn't have the audacity to break the seal, because even if it did contain a few cliches on my virtues, the letter mostly made promises that could actually motivate the Quadrator. Okay. I knew that gold made the world go round, so I promised a hefty... Wait, I don't even know where... How do I know how much I have? It didn't tell me that earlier. Hold on. My map and resources. I have... Okay, I think I gave away 2 influence... Okay, this wasn't, like, part of the thing. Okay. People 15, noble 15, money 10, religion 10, army 10, goods 10, influence. We have a lot more influence, so I think that's probably what I'm gonna go for. Okay, and these are the different places, which is cool. We could either go for option 1, which is a bunch of gold. I knew that gold made the world go around, and so I promised a hefty donation to the Great Temple of Meridian. Knowing his taste for luxury, I knew that he wouldn't be insensitive to a few more riches. Second is 3 influence coins. Having always known that I need his support one day, I used the few resources at my disposal to observe him closely. And I had learned something that could stain his reputation. I kind of want to go for that for the drama. Also because we don't have many. I'm gonna go with that one. Indeed, I had discovered that he was responsible of a death. A woman who worked in the Meridian's great temple. Ooh. I would have liked something a little more concrete, because from what I had been told, even if he was directly responsible through negligence, it wasn't a plot that would make the crowds go wild. Only the fact that she was a woman of faith played in my favor and explained why they had wanted to conceal the incident in the first place. At least I had gathered enough details to make him believe I was an exceedingly well-informed person. I was certain that the desire to preserve his reputation, along with the proof of my knowledge, would be enough to convince him. To play with a man as powerful as the Quadrator, and I wasn't talking about his possible connection to the gods, but his actual worldly power, was a risky move, but it was all worth it. The dice had been cast. I could only hope for things to go well, and prepare the field for my conquest of the Calidyan nobility. Calidyan? I don't know. Okay, spring. I might finish with this day and then be done for today's video. It's the evening. Despite my desire to act, for the time being, I couldn't do anything but wait for the Quadrator's answer. Even if the letter had left that very morning, Meridian was far away. Let's check on the map. And I knew I couldn't hope for an answer for at least 3 days. Where are we? Okay, this is Calidya. C. Oh, I was like, do I need to go up? Oh yeah, okay. Up here. Okay. There and back. Okay. Cool. I had to chomp at the bit and act naive. My first thought was to mingle with the court so I could clear my head, but then pretending that nothing was up and feeding rumors to justify my father's absence was more frustrating than doing nothing. Even Marjorie's presence irritated me. Despite her advanced age, as soon as she turned her inquisitive eyes onto me, I had the impression she managed to perceive the truth. And so I had taken refuge in the library, hoping to read a little. But in all honesty, even if I had managed to unscramble a few words, my thoughts were far away, and my mind was replaying the events of the previous night, asking myself again and again if I had done the right thing. Your Grace. Oh, Your Grace. As if he suddenly realized where we were, the Master of Murmurs repeated his introduction in a lower, albeit just as zealous tone. Your Grace, we have an urgent problem on our hands. This preamble was enough to make me abandon my boring reading, and I put my book down, ensuring there weren't any indiscreet ears in the library before I invited him to continue. What do we think? The Master of Murmurs is handsome, right? Like, I'm not tripping. Anyways, we need to focus on business. Also, after he also made sure no one else was around, he pulled his hood and resumed his explanations. As you know, I've been asked to keep an eye on the 3 people aware of your father's death. However, barely 24 hours have passed, and I have been told that the maid immediately went to a noble, the Baron Torben of Levallois, instead of leaving town. I concluded an investigation, and I'm almost positive the two are in a relationship. I've interrogated her colleagues, who confirmed that she's had a rich benefactor for a few months already, and everything hints at his name. I didn't really care about my servant's romantic endeavors, but I wanted to know where he was going with this. Are you afraid she'll speak? Yes, and I'm afraid the Baron will want to use that information to glean more power. Is he trying to blackmail us? No, we've had nothing of the sort. But tonight he's holding a party to which half of the nobles currently in the capital are invited. That cannot be a coincidence. No event justifies for such a party to be improvised. It's improper. I admit the situation is very odd, but do we have any proof? Unfortunately, no, Majesty. Only suspicions. I took in a few deep breaths while I pondered the situation and calculated the risks. If these allegations happened to be true, I would be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Not only would my plan to gain time fail utterly, but everyone would know of my deception. Moreover, if she didn't speak, now that I knew of this maid's allegiance, I wasn't sure it was a good idea to give her a better position down the line. That would give her more opportunities to spy on me for the Baron. What are our options? There aren't many, Majesty. Either we do nothing and wait to see what happens while preparing to counteract possible rumors, or we have them both assassinated to eliminate any risk of leaks. But the Baron is an influential man. There are far fewer chances of his death passing unnoticed than that of a simple servant. Tired, I massaged my temples to help me think about the best course of action in the situation. Death was most definitely the best way to stop someone from talking, but the reason I wanted to avoid such methods in the first place was because they disgusted me, and they could well have unwelcome repercussions for me. Would allying myself with the Baron be a possibility? It's true that this information will give him power, but not as much as having an empress owe him a favor. I think it could work. But do you really want to start your rule indebted to such an ambitious man? That was indeed the risk. I could always double-cross him once the danger has passed, but that would undeniably have after effects. Right, I get to play ruler. Oh gosh. I am scared. Do we have any idea of what he wants? I'd like to know what I'm getting myself into. If I had a few days, I would have been able to tell you, but I can't answer you in time for the party. Sighing once more, I closed my eyes to better contemplate my options. Here we go. Anyways, can't tell already. I didn't really mention in the beginning, but you get to play. You are making decisions in trying to become empress and being empress and ruling your empire rather, not a country. Um, but there are consequences to everything, so we gotta see. Let's see. Free would be when one plays, one must expect to lose. I'm ready to accept the consequences of my actions, even if it won't be easy. I'm afraid trying to fix things will make it worse. Of this, wait to share to come. Dispatch of this because the servant password. Yeah, much of a choice. Have the and wouldn't that be too about the and then okay. Oh, I went on and I could have been like, oh, okay, whatever. Right now, what matters most is to resolve this issue. If the Baron demands more than he is owed after all is said and done, we'll decide what to do. Reasonably, mark the start of a fruit. We'll try. We can't reason with him. Nothing. And I'll work with this. There's a lot of influence on this, but we'll see. I'd like to share your optimism, Your Grace, but the Baron of Levallois never seemed a reasonable man to me. Well, in any case, I bend to your will. Since Advisor Alden is more adept at this sort of negotiations, I will form him and let him lead the discussions. Nevertheless, I'll stay at the ready in case the Baron refuses to listen to reason. Very well. I'm counting on you. The Master of Murmurs gave me an elegant bow and departed, leaving me alone once more, with doubts gnawing at my mind. I waited for the end of the day with more nervousness than usual, unable to concentrate, fearing the arrival of the Master of Murmurs as much as I had hoped for it. Okay. Spring at night. Okay. It was already late when Alden knocked on my door to inform me of the evolution of the situation. I was convinced a man like the Baron would be in favor of some arrangement, but there were so many things that could go wrong. Your Grace, I have spoken to the Baron of Levallois, who turned out to be quite stingy with his information. To my greatest shame, I'm unable to tell you what he knows exactly. He's remained very vague on the subject, but he clearly hinted at having information that could harm you. I did as you wished and suggested that he supports your ascension to the throne. He'll have your eternal gratitude. He accepted it in principle, but seemed to doubt that you intend to uphold your side of the bargain. He's asking for a guarantee. A guarantee. Alden nodded with a sigh. Good thing I'm not actually an empress. Oh my god. This would be so crazy. Okay. He wants a written document written and signed by your hand to make this alliance official. I couldn't blame him for doubting my honor. After all, I had considered breaking my promise if the price to pay for upholding it was too high. But what he asked me was impossible. I can't do that. That would be admitting to my schemes. At the moment, all he's got is the word of a servant, and no proof that I am directly involved. I won't hand it to him on a silver platter. I wholeheartedly agree with you, but those are his terms. Exasperated, I took in a deep breath before grabbing a sheet of paper and some ink from my desk. I think we should kill him now. I'll write him a letter in which I declare that I owe him a favor for services rendered, without giving any details. This should be enough to prove my goodwill, and if it doesn't suit him, it means deep down he never wanted to commit to this arrangement in the first place. We won't have any other choice, then, but to use your methods. Very well, Majesty. I'll bring it to him right away. Thank you, Alden. I'm sorry to use you as a courier. It's beneath you. He gave an amused laugh. Oh, you'd be surprised, Majesty. This has often been my exact role. Okay. I dozed off, seated at my desk, when someone knocked at my door once more, and I woke up with a start. So, Alden, how did it go? It seemed he had spent hours on the task, which was rather worrisome, but he had come back without the letter I had written. He accepted this compromise. For the time being, he doesn't want anything in particular, but I trust him to let us know when he's ready to claim his favor. And the party? It must be in full swing at this time of night. I don't know if his main goal was to harm you, but in any case, he had another excuse ready. He announced his engagement to a noble from Vargas, Dame Lilia of Valentum. Okay, let's look at the map. Lilia of Valentum. Will that be on this map, you think? Or not? Vargas. Right? Okay, sure. I nodded with a sigh. I didn't know when this all would come back to bite me again, but at least the situation was under control. Thank you for your help, Alden. My pleasure, Your Grace. We'll continue to keep a close eye on him, but you can relax for now. Smiling, I nodded, aware that I was in dire need of sleep after so many strong emotions. And that brings us a couple days later to day 10, the morning. And that's where I will be saving for today because it's been just about an hour. But hopefully you're enjoying the demo. I certainly am. I like that there's a story mode and a normal mode, and that's the normal mode is where I'm at right now. And I do like that I have to make decisions to kind of think about, you know, what their consequences are and how to deal with them, because that really kind of makes it more immersed in like being a ruler. I'm intrigued at how much of the demo or how much of the story we'll get to see in the demo. But I'm really liking it so far, and I really like the art and the music and the writing, so this is great. Let me know what you think. I don't know, like, would you have made different decisions from me, especially like initially silencing the maid and the other guards? Would you have silenced, like, would you have killed them, I guess, or would you have opted for either the option that I did and using my influence to give them a better position, or what was the other one? Giving them money. Who knows? But let me know what you think.